Welcome back, life science learners. Trust that you guys are excited for the next bit of our lesson. We've been talking about nutrition in different animals. In this segment, we're going to focus specifically on these individuals and look at their jaw structure. It's important that we recognize what the functions of different teeth are and that we understand how their different modes of nutrition have allowed for individuals to have specialized dentition. Let's try and unpack that concept of understanding the functions of teeth before we look at these individuals. Right, so I mentioned that we know that there are different types of teeth, but these are obviously arranged differently in different individuals. As a recap, we mentioned that we talked about the dental formula and how these were classified according to their arrangement and their numbers. Let's look at the different types of teeth and their function. Guys, the first group of teeth or the sets of teeth that we look at are your incisors, and I've labeled that and colored that out in yellow. And so I'm going to draw back to the incisors when we look at this specific specimen. So we know that this is a rabbit. I know that it's probably quite small from where you are, but these have significantly large incisors. Unfortunately, this little guy had lost some of his incisors in the process of feeding. But you can clearly see very well defined incisors. And so these incisors are used specifically for, let's look at its function, guys. They are chisel shaped and they're used for biting and cutting off food. So we know that these incisors are specifically adapted so that the individual can bite and chew off food. Interesting. Let's look at the next set of teeth, your canines. Guys, when we look at canines, these are significantly well adapted in individuals that are carnivorous, meaning individuals that are able to feed off prey, where they have to catch their prey, hold and tear off parts of their body. So with me today, I've got the skull of a lion. And so let's look at the canines of these. Obviously, this lion lost some of its canines while we were preserving this, but they are significantly well-developed teeth, long, elongated, strong, so that they're able to dig into a prey, grasp the prey, tear off the meat. And so you find that these individuals have smaller incisors but well-developed canines. Let's look at another individual. So this is the lower jaw of a baboon. If you look closer, you can see a very distinct canine. And these canines, one, serve as a mechanism to be able to catch their prey. They're also an indication of strength and vigor. So often you find that males show dominance by exhibiting their jaw structure and by grinding their teeth. Again, a sign of strength and especially important for their mode of feeding. When we look at a gorilla skull, you can clearly see distinctly developed canines. And think about its mode of nutrition. Again, carnivore. It's able to use its large canines to pierce into its prey, rip, grab, and tear. So you find that there's interlocking canines between the upper jaw and the lower jaw that can grasp, can rip, and can tear their prey apart. And that's, again, the adaptations of the canines. So if we go back to the canines, it's for holding, tearing, and killing their prey. Again, your carnivores have well-developed canines. The next set of teeth we look at are your pre-molars. So these are the ones that are situated behind the canines but in front of your molars. So your pre-molars, again, let's look at it. They're generally flat and uneven. They're used for grinding and crushing food. And so guys, if you think about the functions of these are the teeth that are probably the best suited for organisms that chew and grind a lot. And so here we've got the lower jaw of a herbivore, and this is of a cow, and you can clearly see on this flattened teeth that are designed for extensive chewing. And so they chew lots of their food, and hence you see that the premolars as well as your molars are flattened and have an uneven surface, again, that allows for grinding and crushing of the food. We also see this in some of your smaller herbivores, and this is of a rabbit, And if you do look closer, you can see that their premolars and molars are flattened to allow for the extensive grinding of their food before it is swallowed. Okay. The next set of teeth are the molars, and we see them right here. So these are the larger developed teeth towards the back of the jaw. And if we look at this lower jaw of a baboon, you can see that these molars are situated towards the back, large, well developed for crushing and grinding. So these teeth are flat, uneven surfaces. They're used for grinding and crushing their food. And if you look at that in the larger predators, you can see that they've got large molars, again allowing them to grind and crush, especially the bone structure in their prey. We also see that some teeth are called the Yokara teeth, and these are specialized molars and premolars with jagged triangular edges, and this is used for your cutting of the meat. And we see this significantly developed in your lions. So you can see that their teeth have this triangular structure which allows for the upper jaw and the lower jaw to interlock and the molars and premolars to crush their teeth. So you'll see that distinct triangular structure of them. And finally, we talk about your third molars, and this is often referred to as your wisdom teeth. And so we find that some of us at the age of about 16 and 17 start experiencing pain and discomfort. And these are generally the teeth that grow right at the back behind your molars. So the last of the teeth to appear are the third molars, which are also referred to as your wisdom. You are not going to grow until these are about 17 years. So they generally come out when you're around 17. A great number of us never will experience the discomfort of having these grow. It's often removed, as they grow, they tend to impact these last molars, causing lots of discomfort. And so those are often removed, and the reason is because of the overcrowding of the teeth in the back of the jaw. So guys, as we wrap this up, we need to talk about the dental formula. As I mentioned earlier on, the dental formula is an expression of the number of teeth of each kind on one half of the upper jaw and the lower jaw. So here's an expression of a dental formula. It essentially shows an upper jaw and the lower jaw, and it represents the distribution of teeth from the left half or the right half to the back. So here we see the jaw, the lower jaw, and so the dental formula points to the distribution of teeth from the half moving back, and this again on the upper jaw from the middle to the opposite end going back. So here we notice that we see the evidence of 2 incisors followed by 1 canine, 2 premolars and 3 molars moving from the middle, if I were to illustrate that. So it's moving from that point to the back, and in this case the bottom lower jaw would be again, so that's the upper jaw, and the lower jaw would be moving towards that direction, where we see again 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars and 3 molars on the one lower side half. Teeth are an important part of dentition. It's important that we have an overview of the basic structure of the tooth. Why is that important? Teeth play a very important role in chewing, and if we don't understand that, it will be probably a shortfall on us in terms of explaining how dentition occurs. So let's have a very quick overview of the structure of the teeth. The basic structure of the teeth, a teeth consists of enamel, which makes it really tough and hard, dentine, cementum, and pulp tissue. So guys, it's not for exam purposes that you need to know this, but it's important that we recognize what is it that makes the teeth structurally well suited for their function. And so the enamel is a coat on the surface that actually solidifies the teeth and gives it that strength, so they're able to crush and grind bone. You've got dentine that maintains the teeth. you've got the cementum, which actually cements the teeth into the bed of the jaw. And you've got the pulp tissue in which the root of the tooth is embedded and supplied with nerves and blood vessels. So the portion of the tooth exposed to the oral cavity is known as the dental crown. So what we look at when we look at the jaw is the dental crown. So here you're looking at the dental crown. We often hear of the term crowning when you go to a dentist, and that's essentially replacing the top of the tooth, and that points to the crown, which is the exposed part in the mouth. So this is what we're looking at here, is the dental crown. We also do know that deep into the jawbone is the part that is resting. So it's called the tooth root. And so if we do look at, I'm going to try and refer to this, and here you can clearly see this is the root of the tooth in the jawbone. And that points to how deep it is situated in the jaw structure. And so this allows for the teeth to be well embedded in the jaw. So here's an overview. We can see that you've got the root, which is situated in the bony jaw, and it has the upper bits, which is the tough part with the strong enamel, below which is the sensitive dentine, as well as the inner core, which is the pulp, which is richly supplied with blood vessels and nerves. The gum is the soft tissue that surrounds and maintains the teeth, and you've got the jawbone, which is made up of bone tissue. Deep into that we have the roots that basically embed the teeth into the bone, and that is richly supplied with nerves and blood vessels. And that's the basic anatomy of the structure of the tooth. So guys, we've looked at types of nutritions, we've looked at the jaw shape and the dental formula. We're now looking at the adaptations of the teeth for the different modes of nutrition. Let's have a little break, and when we get back, we will apply our understanding to looking at how these individuals have structurally adapted jaws for their mode of nutrition. See you in a bit.